In this video, I'm going to continue talking about some of the adjustments available to you, and this will be a really, really short video because I'm going to point out the Desaturate adjustment. Now, this is such a common adjustment that it actually has its own hotkey by default. This is a Control-Shift-U, and if you click on this, all it's going to do is discard your color information. That's all there is to it, and I could call the video done and over at that point. As a matter of fact, if you want to stop watching, you're more than welcome. However, I do try to urge people never, ever, ever to use this adjustment if they don't absolutely have to. Occasionally, I suppose it is rather helpful to be able to use this, but if you really need to make something black and white, I highly recommend you consider instead using the black and white adjustment layer. It gives you a whole lot more control over what aspects or what colors, to be specific, of your image are going to be pushed toward black or toward white, so you have a lot more control over your final look. Also, because it's an adjustment layer, it's non-destructive, so you can turn it on and off at any time, and it allows you to pull more depth out of your original image as you convert it to black and white, whereas simply desaturating something will tend to make your image look very, very flat. To help kind of illustrate this, what I'm going to do is take my entire background layer here. Let's hit Control-A, and I'll hit Control-Shift-C. Now what that's doing is that's making a merged copy of everything that is visible, and the reason I'm doing that is because I had the black and white layer selected, just in case anybody was wondering. I'll hit Control-V to paste this down, and so I have two different versions of my document. Now this upper version, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and simply desaturate that. And now as I compare the two, even with the default settings, there's some nicer contrast. It's subtle right now, but there's some nicer contrast taking place on the black and white adjustment layer version, which I can boost by, say, taking the blacks and pulling them toward black. I'm sorry, the reds and pulling them toward black. We could take the yellows, because those are like the lighter colors of the sunset, and we could start pushing those out toward white. Of course, our blues can be darkened a little bit to bring the sky and the water in the background down a little. We'll do the same thing just a little with the cyans. And the magentas I'll waggle a little to see what it's controlling, and then we'll just kind of push those up. And now if we make a comparison, it becomes really obvious how we were able to get a lot more control using that black and white adjustment layer. So I realized this kind of ended up being a discussion more about the black and white adjustment layer than about anything else, but I just did want to point out the Desaturate adjustment. That will wrap things up for this video. Thanks a lot.